All right, all right. Yes, welcome. This is the BFTAA and More show. Kind of started with me before my intro came on, but that's okay. We'll get this started. We were just talking with one of our earlier show hosts, Miss Janelle Banks, a comedian here in Kansas City, and she was stayed over a while we were working on some things and stuff. But hey, we're here now, and it's the BFTAA and More show, and we're so glad that you're able to join us today. I'm your host, Louis George Walker, and the Black Family Technology Awareness Association, in partnership with the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center, came together to form this radio station, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, KUAW. So this is the BFTAA and More show on KUAW Radio, and you can pick us up. I want to make sure that you can hear us now over our... There you go. Have to hit a button or two here. Make sure that you can hear us over our audio feed. So you can listen to us on KUAW audio side only if you go to our webpage and go www.kuaw.org and push any one of those play buttons that are on there. They're connected to MyTuner, the iTunes, I mean, not the iTunes, the TuneIn site, the Get Me Radio, and my online radio box and my tuner. So all of those, you push on any one of those, or you can download the apps and you can listen to KUAW on those in your car, over your smart speaker. If you have an Amazon or any other smart speaker, tell it to play KUAW and you'll pick us up on that also. So we're all over the world right now on KUAW Radio. I also want to let you know that we have I want to make sure our chat feature is open. Yes, we have a live radio chat that's on. So if you go to our Facebook page, KUAW-radio, I can see any questions that you may ask or comments. So if you go to KUAW-radio, you can put in a comment there, anything that you want to put on, and I'll be able to see it. And also, if you can't hear me or if something goes on technically, put it in there and I'll be able to see that also. So it's kind of a thing that helps us out in more ways than one. But we're glad that you are here. I'm going to get us over onto the Twitter space because we actually stream the Twitter, but I'm going to Twitter, but I'm going to send a link over from YouTube right now. And that'll be the way that we'll get over there. Let's see. We can get this done here. Try and do too many things at once with this internet, and we'll confuse ourselves. There we go. We got that up there, and let's see, KUAW. I think it'll take us. It's getting there. Yeah, KUAW Radio. All right, so we're on Twitter now. I just put a post up on there, and also we have a stream going live on the Twitterverse. So you can pick us up on a lot of your favorite online sites, social media sites. We're all over. And we're glad to bring you information and today's news and insights and give you some of the information that you don't pick up on other radio stations or other shows from time to time. So if you were listening just a little bit earlier from 3 to 4 o'clock, we had the Comedy Power Hour with Miss Janelle Banks. And she was on doing giving you a lot of information from the comedy scene, not just here in Kansas City, but regionally and across the country. So that's the type of things we've got. Tomorrow, we'll start our shows off with Senior Moments, where you'll get to see some cooking shows. And we were all talking about doing a guest appearance between Senior Moments and the Comedy Power Hour. I don't know how that'll work, but we're putting it out there into the metaverse to see if we can get it. If you'd like to see Millie and Janelle doing a show together, Janelle guesting on Senior Moments or Senior Moments guesting on the Comedy Power Hour. Either one of them. Put that in our chat or send us a a note on Facebook or email. You can email us at kuaw985@gmail.com. But let us know that you'd be interested to see Senior Moments and the Comedy Power Hour do a get-together. That would be fun. I think it would be great. So, yeah, we've got a lot of different shows and different generations that work together to make this radio station, and that's what it's all about, is us getting together as community and you being there to check us out. So we're glad that you're listening. We got some information for you today, but one of the things we want to do to start off with is let you know what's going on this week at NASA. We'd like to bring you the information from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration so that we can encourage our young people to pursue careers in STEM, in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Those are important fields, and the research that goes on in there benefits the whole world. So it's not just about going in space, but it's about the breakthroughs that are made that are even being used here on Earth. So that's one of the things that we're looking at, and we want to show you right now what's going on this week at NASA.
Reflecting on a record-setting spaceflight, an update on pre-launch activities for Artemis 1, and launching the first private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei is safely back on Earth following his record-setting 355-day mission aboard the International Space Station, the longest single spaceflight in history by an American astronaut. Our Johnson Space Center hosted a virtual news conference on April.
Wait a minute. I think that was the last week's. I think I was showing you the one that we showed last week. I've got to get this week's show going on. Oh, no, that is it. 4-8. Okay. That's my bad. I'll get it back together. Okay, let's try that one more time. Let's see what's going on this week at NASA.
Reflecting on a record-setting spaceflight, an update on pre-launch activities for Artemis 1, and launching the first private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei is safely back on Earth following his record-setting 355-day mission aboard the International Space Station, the longest single spaceflight in history by an American astronaut. Our Johnson Space Center hosted a virtual news conference on April 5th, during which Vande Hei reflected on his mission.
It was not about any record for me at all. It's just the opportunity to work with a really good sense of purpose in a job where we get to help out all of humanity. The number of days was not that important to me, and I think that helped me react to whether it was going to be comfortable with it being either a shorter mission or a longer mission like it turned out to be.
Data from Vande Hei's mission will help us prepare for the effects of long-duration spaceflight on the human body as we continue our plans to return astronauts to the Moon under the Artemis program in preparation for eventual human missions to Mars. As of April 5th, teams at our Kennedy Space Center were preparing for the next attempt at the Artemis 1 wet dress rehearsal test with our Space Launch System rocket and Orion spacecraft, pending range availability and restoration of propellants and gases during the test. Engineers did accomplish several test objectives during 2 previous test runs that will help prepare teams and the integrated systems for launch. This wet dress rehearsal marks the first use of new systems at Kennedy's Launch Complex 39B and is the last major test before the uncrewed Artemis 1 launch. On April 8th, the crew of Axiom Mission 1, or AX-1, the first private astronaut mission to the International Space Station, lifted off aboard a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft from our Kennedy Space Center. During the 10-day mission, the AX-1 crew will spend 8 days on the space station conducting scientific research, outreach, and commercial activities. The mission represents both a culmination of NASA's efforts to foster a commercial market in low Earth orbit and a beginning of a new era of space exploration that enables more people to fly on more kinds of missions. Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin engineers recently conducted a final hot fire test in Promontory, Utah, of the abort motor built for the launch abort system on NASA's Orion spacecraft, qualifying the system for missions with crew beginning with Artemis II. In the event of an emergency on the launch pad or during ascent, the launch abort system is designed to safely lift Orion and its crew away from the launch vehicle. NASA was well represented at the Space Foundation's 37th Space Symposium April 5th through 7th in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Our Deputy Administrator Pam Melroy gave a speech highlighting our Moon to Mars strategy. There was also a panel discussion about our Artemis program working with industry partners to help build the space economy. Meanwhile, the team for our OSIRIS-REx asteroid sample return mission received the 2022 John L. Jack Swigert Jr. Award for Space Exploration in recognition of the mission's extraordinary accomplishments in space exploration and discoveries made at asteroid Bennu. That's what's up this week at NASA. For more on these and other stories, follow us on the web at nasa.gov/twan.
So you get to see what's going on this week at NASA. And it's kind of important. I heard a little word in there that I think I'm going to look up, but it says they're going to be working to build the space economy. So that could be where we're now starting to look at products, or how do we make companies advantageous to go in space, or will they be making products that will be used back here on Earth? But space is becoming another product, or a field of products that can be used, that can be merchandised to us or to others around the globe. So that's one reason that there are a lot of countries now going into space, because there's going to be an economy of space. And if you start talking about going to the moon long term, going to Mars, a lot of that is not just going there to visit. You know, it's fun and it's good exploration to take off, but that's not the end goal. The end goal is to make it where it is useful to us. If you go to the moon, is there a way that we'll be able to find a way to save money, to build things cheaper or better or more efficiently from products or from materials on the moon that will be more beneficial to us here on Earth? So those are things that are going to be happening in the very near future. And a lot of what you see going on with the space program is moving in that direction. So space is going to be not just a new frontier, but it's also going to be a place that we'll look for as we're doing business. You know, it's going to be a business stop, something that will be merchandise. So that's all that's going on, but we need to know that we need to be involved in that, just like you want to be involved in the internet and you want to be involved in different industries that get started. And you may want to make some investments in companies that are doing business there. Those are type of things that could maybe benefit you and your family as you talk about building generational wealth. Something that we ought to be looking for is where do we spend our money? What are we putting our money into that can maybe be more profitable? So, yeah, that was what's going on this week at NASA. And we've got more NASA news to bring you. We'll do space to space to ground, so that you can see a little bit more, get a little different point of view of what we're doing in space. So all of this is still coming from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, but they have 3 or 4, and there's a lot of laboratories and projects going on that aren't all just in one place. So let's look at the episode today of Space to Ground. Let's see if we can get that going.
opportunities for several audiences to communicate with astronauts using amateur radio units. Before a scheduled call, students learn about the station and how the amateur radio works, among other topics. Students are also tasked to prepare questions on topics they have researched. Speaking directly with an astronaut in space is an experience, to say the least, and sparks interest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to help inspire the next generation of explorers. And that's Space to Ground for this week. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
Subscribe for more space.
That's the ground for you. Okay, I'll come back in the picture again. Hey, glad to be a part of it. Glad that you were able to see what was going on with Space to Ground and what's happening at NASA, because that is something that we should be aware of and constantly stay in touch with, because it is important. It's going to be something that we'll be involved with in our futures in each and every one of us. So that's something that we'll keep you up on every week right here on the BFTAA and More Show. You'll get to see what's going on this week at NASA. So, hey, we're back and we want to talk about some things going on in the world. As you all know, we're kind of ending our time in the pandemic as far as the lockdown period. Not that the coronavirus has gone away or that it's been defeated or anything like that, but the fact that it is, as the governor said, moving more from a pandemic to an endemic, or to where we're learning how to live and survive with COVID-19. Now, China is having a real tough time, and they're locking down again. But they're not experiencing the deaths and the hospitalizations that they were. And that's the way it is here in the United States, is that the pandemic is still there. And there are some people that are still getting very, very sick from it, and even some that are dying from it. But it is not the pandemic that it was, or the epidemic in the United States that it was 2 years ago, where there were no treatments and where huge numbers of people were losing their lives or being debilitated, and some are still living with the aftermath of long-term COVID. So those are things that are still with us, but it's kind of easing up right now. But one of the things that came out of this, as a lot of things changed, we started staying at home. The shipping industry and the getting products to market got turned upside down. Trucking was in bad shape. They still haven't recovered as far as getting car production and those type of things going, where they don't have the chips that they need, and things were stuck on ships. And it's easing up, but it's nowhere near back to normal as we knew it before. And it may never get that way, because things are changing now. The pandemic sped up a lot of changes, a lot of the automation, a lot of the work from home that is going on now in such great numbers was something that was going to come, but maybe not as fast. Companies were slow to adopt the work from home thing. They didn't know exactly how to manage it, how it would work network-wise, what the productivity of the workers would be if they weren't being managed with somebody right there with them all the time. So as they found out more of how to do that, how to manage it, companies are finding that they can work with workers working from home. Maybe not 100% of the time, but they can do a hybrid, work from home sometimes, come into the office sometime. Those are changes. Another change that came about early on was the need for being able to remotely connect to the internet for education. We saw that our schools were running into huge problems, and where there were a lot of digital inequalities going on with the ability to work from home, that there were kids that didn't have the computers, and the schools that didn't have the laptops or tablets to send home, that kids at home didn't have the internet connections that they needed in order to use it. in rural areas and in urban core areas. People were sitting outside of McDonald's and any fast food place or libraries. The library here in Kansas City actually made where you could pick up their Wi-Fi outside the building, that you'd be able to get online so that people could do their work. So it was a big time of knowing that online was important. That's something that the Black Family Technology Awareness Association has been working on, talking about, and encouraging since 2004. The fact to know that you need a computer at home and high-speed internet access. That was an issue in 2004. The urgency really came when the pandemic hit in 2019. As we started to see that, even people that thought they didn't need a computer, didn't need a tablet, didn't need internet access, found that they needed it. Another group, other than just the education and stuff, is we found that our senior citizens, digital inclusion really had a big effect on senior citizens after you had to stay home, after you couldn't get out. I was reading an article in the Digital Inclusion magazine that was talking about that. It says, while seniors have always been somebody that, or people, or a population that was on the wrong side of the digital divide, the evolution of tech like video chatting and telehealth makes digital inclusion for older adults more important than ever. Yeah, they've been needing it. Some didn't realize how bad they needed it or how beneficial it could be. Older adults have long needed help with technology, and quite simply, they always will. It's just an inherent part of aging. New tech is harder to grasp when you don't grow up with it. Because of this dynamic, for many years, digital inclusion programs have worked extensively with older adults. They have helped them learn the new technology, most often with in-person training and classes. But frequently, these were held at senior centers, public libraries, and local schools. Those efforts, however, became impossible to safely conduct at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, so advocates in the space had to get creative. Agencies that long assisted seniors, such as AARP, began to partner with advocates working on digital inclusion within the same population. This led to innovations like integrating technology help with AARP's Senior Planet program, which also now offers exercise classes and other activities online, said Amanda Gimble, the Director of Aging Connected, and one of the leaders of that effort. Gimble noted that this increased need for creative digital inclusion with older adults came at a time when the stakes could not have been higher. Because being when we were, quarantined, but not quarantined, but when you were on lockdown, when we had to stay in the house, when we couldn't travel, when stores weren't open and stuff. Just imagine that if you were a senior citizen and that you didn't have the internet. Or, as they say, if you had the internet but really hadn't used it much, or you didn't have a device, or you weren't really familiar with the device that you had, and all of a sudden now you can't go out. Your connections are hard to make. You're put on hold on the dial-up lines that you call into and stuff, and you find that some of your other seniors and stuff are still ordering their pharmacies, their medicines, getting them delivered to the door, and say, well, I just did it on my computer. Or somebody tells you, well, go online and fill out that requisition or that you need to have this medicine. And it was hard to do, if not impossible. We've even had churches that closed, and a lot of people had to learn how to use Zoom. That maybe had their smartphones, had tablets at home, and the grandkids gave them to them or what have you, but hadn't really put that much effort or work into learning it. And this made it where they really had to. So the pandemic sped a lot of things up. It's changed the way life is in the United States and around the world, and it's not going to go back the old way. As the pandemic eases, or even if it goes away, people aren't going to stop using Zoom. Churches are not going to stop streaming. There's still going to be video conferences going on. You'll still be able to order food to get delivered at your house. We're not going back to the other way. No, once you've made that change, you don't go back the other way. It says, one of the things that it says, the essential scenario where, to borrow a common phrase, is now more than ever, seniors need to be online. Yet it was harder to get them online than ever with in-person instruction off the table. And that was one thing that they found that was hard, is that how do you get people online or get computer training if they can't come into the senior center, if they can't work on, right then. But a lot of organizations and stuff got creative and made ways for people to use and to find the equipment that they needed. They sent tablets home that actually, or delivered tablets to people that actually had training programs built into them. So this has been good, digital skills training. And that was something that you have to have if you're going to work with it. So these are things that we have to look at as we go in the future. And as digital equity is coming about, the United States government had marked $2.75 billion for digital equity. So now that money is flowing through pipelines for classes, for education, to help offset the cost of getting online or getting internet. And we want to make sure that the community, our community, doesn't get left out of that. Now that we have the government wanting to help build the infrastructure even more than before, because there were programs to do digital equity. There have been those for many years, and private companies, the phone companies and the cell phone companies and internet companies, a lot of them have been working hard to get the internet to more people in the inner city, in the rural area. Rural America is just as bad off, sometimes even more, on getting internet access. There was a lot of farm towns and things like that where there's no internet or no high-speed internet or not enough bandwidth for everybody to use, and some people live so far out in the country, there's no internet whatsoever. I mean, I've got cousins that were down in Louisiana that were in an area that just getting television was a struggle, let alone you talk about the internet and everything else. There's thousands, if not millions, of people in this country that live in places that the internet is not easily accessible. And that's something that we're going to have to keep working on. But for senior citizens, and even for those of you that are not seniors, because you will be seniors one day, you need to know that life is going to be a continually learning process. It's something that we're going to always be needing, because the technology is not going to stay the same. Even though we learn the technology now, today, a year from now, 2 years from now, there may be more new technology coming along. And for those that are digital natives, and digital natives mean they've always had digital. They don't remember a time when there wasn't an internet or when there wasn't cell phones or when there weren't tablets. Those are digital natives. For digital natives, even they will age. Even they will turn 50, 60 years old at some point, and technology is going to still be changing, so it's not going to be the same cell phone that it is now or the same laptop that it is now, and you'll have to move forward. I've known some people that were pretty good with the basic computers when they first came out. As cell phones have come along, as the internet went to 2.0, tablets and all that come along, a lot of them didn't want to keep changing, didn't want to learn that new thing, or just didn't see a need for it. Their life was going along smooth, so they didn't change. But we have to continually change. Life is a continually changing process. Yes, you can get by today without having the internet. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. You won't die. You won't fall off the end of the earth, and you won't starve to death without the internet. But, life can be even more efficient for you and rewarding for some people with the internet. So, it's still a personal choice, but you may want to think about it as you get older, that the technology can be a big help. It can be your lifeline. It can keep you connected to people It can keep you connected to the world. It doesn't beat going outside. It doesn't beat meeting people face to face in 3 dimensions. It doesn't beat that at all, but it can be that connection to help you. There's a lot of homebound people that have found that now with the Zoom, with all the video things that are available, it's better that they can at least experience or see things that they couldn't see just out their window. So that's one of the things that's happening. The pandemic has pushed it along, but it's something that was going to happen anyway, and we're there. So the reality is that technology keeps changing. You and I are going to need someone to help us with technology when we are older, because it won't be the same technology we used when we were younger. We'll always need digital literacy training for everyone, including older adults, and those are funding structures we just don't have in the United States. So that's something that we've got to work on, because this isn't something that's going to stop or go away. We need to definitely continue to have training programs, learning programs. You need organizations in the community, at senior centers, at the community center, at places where people can access them, at their church, their synagogue, their mosque, wherever that they meet or wherever they find social time. It'd be good to have some training built in there. Some people found out that, oh man, this other place, they're online, they're doing this and another. Why come we're not doing it? Well, nobody bothered to learn, and now you have to reach out. You have to find where can you get this information to learn to do this new thing that you want to do. So the pandemic has pushed the digital equity far, but it doesn't solve a problem because humans still have to implement it. We're going to have to stay on top of making sure that digital equity reaches those places in our community that it needs to reach. You and I, yes, community organizations, individuals, we have to make sure that the city, the state, the county governments don't overlook our communities, and that we attend the meetings, that we find out the strategies, that we embrace the new technology that comes. We should be wanting it in our community, even though you say, well, I don't know if we use this, that, and other. Go to the meeting, find out, tell them to bring it in anyway. We want it there just in case we need it, just in case we have to use it. Because that technology is something that, you know, when you need it, you need it. And it's not always a bad thing. Also, I want to let you know we're constantly improving here. I did open up the chat line, although I didn't text anything in it. But now, when most of our shows are live, you can put a information, a note, or question in your Facebook chat, and it will show up on the screen. It won't give your name or anything. It keeps the name anonymous, so it'll just say a user on there. So you don't have to worry about everybody seeing your name or who you are. It will post that up there, and it'll just say a user on there, and you can comment on shows, and we'll be able to see those comments in real time and respond back to you. Some of the shows are doing it and are better at it than others, but it's just like we were saying with the technology. It's something new that we've got to learn. So that's something new to KUAW radio and to these broadcasts, is that we're now able to put the Facebook chat up there where you can communicate and we can communicate back to you in real time. So we're going to continue to try and improve what we're putting out, and we want you to get better at using it. So be sure and drop a line to KUAW Radio. Let us know if there's anything that we can help you with, if you have any questions or comments. If you know a friend, tell them to like and share this page. You like and share this page. Not only are we here on Facebook right now, but we're live on our audio side. So if you go to KUAW Radio, just type that in, KUAW Radio, you can actually pick us up, just the audio, not the visual, and we're there 24 hours a day. You can pick us up on our Facebook page, but you'll pick us up on our website. If you go to KUAW, I want to pull that up right now, KUAW.org. type in www.kuaw.org, and you'll go to the KUAW page. And on that page, when you first go to it, you'll see a lot of boxes that have little arrows in them. Those are players that will actually play our radio station. We've got the online radio box, we've got Radio Garden, we've got TuneIn, we've got MyTuner, and we have, not listed on here, Get Me Radio. We've got to get them put on there. But any of those, you can download an app, or you can just click on the play button, and it will start playing KUAW right then. So you go to www.kuaw.org, and you can see our radio station. Those are all the ways that we're putting out audio 24/7. Yeah, 24/7. It's out there all the time. So go to that, listen to us. We've got a lot of talk shows. We've got some smooth jazz. We got my favorite, which is the old school music, because, you know, I'm a child of the 60s and 70s, and we got some of the 80s and 90s thrown in there, too, to spice it up. But we've got some old school music for you. We've got smooth jazz for you. On the weekend, we even have blues for you. That's right. That's right. So be sure and tune in. You can look at the calendar that's on our page and see when Blues Time in the City plays, or when Cool Jazz Weekly plays, or Professor Smooth Jazz. You can pick him up. And then we've got replays of a lot of our broadcast shows that go on. If you see a spot that says various KUAW shows, those will be shows that we've played through the week, or a couple of weeks, or a month or two, or 3 months before. But we'll be doing replays of shows from Senior Moments to Wake Up KC to Truth Be Told, Lene Gray. All of those, we run those shows again on the audio-only side. So be sure and check that out. Also, we want you to go to our YouTube page. Our YouTube page, where streaming is a lot smoother, less interruptions, rolls along pretty smooth. Go to YouTube and put in KUAW Radio, and you can pick us up there whenever we're live. And if you subscribe, that's what we need you to do, is subscribe to the page. We want to get over 1,000 subscriptions on our YouTube page. So if you haven't been to the YouTube page to check us out, go to the YouTube page and subscribe to KUAW Radio. That way, whenever we go live, if you're on YouTube, it'll let you see the latest live video that was shown. So if you miss a show that you'd like to see, you didn't get it, you'll be able to go to the page and you'll see it'll bring up some of our past shows. And we have a playlist on YouTube. You can go there and search for shows that you've missed. If you want to see all of Lene Gray's shows, just go there, start going back. You can go back 3-4 years. She's been with us a long time. So there's a lot of shows of Lene Gray on there. Wake Up KC. Also, one of our early shows. They've been on for years. So we've got a lot of video that you can catch up on. Some shows that aren't even on anymore, but if you want to see some of our shows from the past, we've got those on here. Misunderstood show. We still have some of their videos saved, and you can watch that show. So check us out. This is us, KUAW Radio, and we're glad to be with you. All right, before we get ready to go, as we get into the last part of this show, I want to tell you it's tax time. Yeah, tax time is coming up, and we want to be, ready. I've got to get my taxes. I bought the software last night, so I'm not one of those people that do it early. I'm a last-minute tax person. So I just loaded in my tax program. I won't mention the company because they're not paying me. So, but I've got the tax software loaded in. It was smooth. It looked at last year's. It imported that right now, so the names and all of the stuff is in there. And I've got to sit down now for a few hours. I don't know how long it's going to take me. It's usually not too long, but sometimes you can run into something that you didn't get, some paperwork you didn't get, and you've got to really go through things. But for the most part, I should be able to get it done in the evening and get it filed electronically. So it's all done right there. So don't forget to get your taxes in. Sign them or electronically file them or whatever. But make sure you do your taxes. Don't get caught behind. Don't have any penalties where you lose money. and definitely get any money back that you may have coming. So that's something that we want to encourage each and every one of you to do, is be sure and get those taxes filed and filed on time. I also like to let you know that the Music and More Foundation, one of our founding sponsors, I think the first check that we got from a sponsor was from the Music and More Foundation back in 2015. So that was early on in KUAW's life, that they're still with us. And they're putting on, for National Poetry Month, Poetry in the Park. Yes, you can go to the park, the Brush Creek Amphitheater, or the Freedom Fountain Amphitheater, that's located at Brush Creek and Elmwood. No, Brush Creek and Cleveland. Brush Creek and Cleveland, not Elmwood. You got to come farther down. Cleveland, where the Spirit of Freedom Fountain is, there's an amphitheater right there. There's poetry in the park every Saturday. Every Saturday this month. I went to the first one. I didn't make it last Saturday because I was running around here and didn't get there. But I'll be there this Saturday coming up. Poetry in the park, Saturday. They've got poets, different poets that come up. They'll have some open mic. If you know a poet that would like to give some poetry or do their poetry, let them know that there's poetry in the park from 4 to 7 p.m. It's outdoors, so bring your lawn chairs, your blankets, whatever you need to sit back and relax and to enjoy some poetry in the park. Yeah, they're going to be out there and having a great time. Sometimes people say there's nothing to do. This is something to do that is free, that won't cost you nothing. You can't beat that. I was going to see if I had the photo of it, and I don't think I have the photo that I can bring to you right now. But it is at the Brush Creek Amphitheater, or Freedom Fountain Amphitheater, Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard in Cleveland. Yeah, it's not Brush Creek Boulevard, so you can tell the old people. It is Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard. Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard in Cleveland, or Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard and Benton. So it's between Benton Boulevard and Cleveland on Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard. And it is a great venue, great outdoor venue that, to my mind, is really underused. They've got a sloping hill. The audience is up on the hill. They've got a platform at the bottom and stage where people would then be able to talk up to the people, the speakers, where you'd be able to hear. It's almost like the old Greek amphitheater, so you can get poetry right there in the park. So be sure and check it out. Also, I want to let you know my birthday is coming up. So if you go to L. George Walker's page, you'll see that I'm doing a birthday fundraiser for KUAW Radio and the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. I would like to encourage everyone to make a donation. Our goal is to raise $2,500. Last time I looked, we had raised $700. We're trying to raise $2,500. That's what we raised last year in the middle of a pandemic. So we hope that this year we can not only meet the $2,500, but we can exceed the $2,500. So help KUAW and the Black Family Technology Awareness Association continue to bring you some of the best in entertainment and shows and music and all of that by making a donation today. It's a birthday fundraiser for Louis George Walker, or L. George Walker on there. I hope that I would appreciate if you would make a donation, if you would give whatever you can give, $5, $10, $50, $100, $500, whatever gift that you can give, we'll be thankful for. This is an all-volunteer organization, and this radio station, we have to help the Learning Center with rent, and we also have to pay for all the equipment we use and all of the upgrades that we want to do. So we need your help in there. We were able to get some new software on the computers here over the last week, and that's been a great help. But that cost us money. Even though we were able to get a discount, we were able to get Microsoft Office on the computers here, and in the BFTAA office, and we're going to put it up into our robotics computers so that we'll have the latest software available for our students and staff and everyone to use. But we have to pay for that in cold hard cash. So even though we can get a nonprofit discount, we still have to spend money. So we need your help. So we hope that you would take this time and go to the fundraising page of the fundraiser, and I'll go and try and put it back up on top, put some postings on there so that you can see us and support KUAW Radio. You can also go to our webpage and make a donation through our PayPal account. If you go on the www.kuaw.org or www.bftaa.org. On both of those pages, there's a button that you can push that'll take you to our PayPal site. Now, if you want to give your money unrestricted, that it can be used by BFTAA or KUAW, just make a donation. If you want to make your donation specifically to KUAW or specifically to BFTAA, please put in the memo that you want these funds to be used for the Black Family Technology Awareness Association or for KUAW Radio. That way we know exactly how you want your donation to go, and we will honor that. That will go. We've got two separate bank accounts, one for BFTAA, one for KUAW. So if you don't specify, we're going to split any donation. If you give $50, it's not specified, $25 goes each way. But if you want to make sure your money goes either to BFTAA or KUAW, then make sure in your memo on your PayPal or however you make the donation to us that you say where you would like for your funds to go. But we thank you for listening today. We'll be with you again next Monday from 5 to 5:45 at the BFTAA and More Show. We've got a special guest that had texted me today in May coming up. So I think that's going to be a fun thing. So we've been able to reach a lot of people and help people, and people are reaching back to us. So we're really glad about that. So keep listening to KUAW Radio. I went over my time today. So I'm going to stop right now and get out of here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of KUAW and the Black Family Technologies Awareness Association, BFTAA and More Show. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.